What is going on, everybody? We're here to talk about the recent Mythic League tournament number 3, and it was won by Boss of Blades using none other than Attack Yak. Yes, you heard me correctly. Let's get to it. What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Roxora, and here we do all things Magic and Magic Spellslingers. Today we're going to be talking about the third Mythic League tournament run by the official Spellslingers LGS. Yeah, big thanks to Longton for letting me or for filling me in on this and letting me sit in. I obviously didn't participate in this because I'm not Mythic, because I am not grinding the game super hard. Pointing y'all to my commentary on the game as it stands and all that stuff. But it's still nice. It was still nice to catch up with people and observe this. Obviously, milk that content, grind out that those videos. Gotta have something. But also, there are some really interesting things to note here, both in just some small adaptations in the list that are giving me a good chance to try them out on the ladder. But also then talking about sideboards, which is not something I get to discuss often because it's not really relevant for ladder play, but is really interesting to see the decisions that people are making in sideboarding. I think everyone in this tournament, except for one person, decided to run a sideboard. This person's running an aggro deck, so it kind of makes sense. But anyways, before we get into all that stuff, we're going to talk about deck lists, and then we'll go over the final match. I did want to just mention, please like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. The algorithm, all that stuff really helps me out. So do me a big solid and click that like. Make sure to also click that subscribe button, hit that bell, all that stuff. And remember, you can find me live at twitch.tv/Roxora098, where I'm probably playing Spellslingers, Magic the Gathering, or just someone else chilling out, having a good time. Come hang out. It's fun. I'm nice, I promise. So yeah, there's a couple of interesting lists here. There were all, also just interesting to see the adaptation. Obviously, like Garrick being the kind of presumed best deck, Nissa also a close second after that. But also, I know I've seen on tier list that Sarah is also pretty good because of its effectiveness in other matchups. So first of all, we have two Kaya lists. We got one from Fermenter here. I've seen Fermenter like doing pretty good in a lot of the ladder, and also in tournaments. Interesting here. So this looks like the classic. I say classic as if it wasn't cool at one point. Kaya control. So nothing too crazy about their lists here in the main deck. I think it's actually pretty standard powered stun. There again, they're still choosing to run the Moon Silver Shackle. I think I still like Immolating Glare, but again, I don't think I've ever played Shackle that much. So, anyways, and then in here, they've got a copy of Ebon Death and Icing Death, maybe to just have some bigger top end for decks. And then removal options down here makes a lot of sense. Break a leg and fatal infection in particular. Some good options there to have. And then we had a couple of Nissa. The other Kai list from Slappy James here, just the classic, or sorry, a more typical build of Kaya with Oath of the Paladin, Hellmouth Cave, and then just creatures and Kaya stuff. Stoneforge Mystics, Counterfeiters, Dagger Claw Imp. The things that you would normally expect to see from a regular build of Kaya, not the control version. Choosing not to run any sideboard cards. Obviously, like they could have just added whatever they wanted, but I think not trying to dilute their deck makes a lot of sense when you're an aggro deck. I think aggro decks are probably the deck that would sideboard the least, and that makes sense. The rest of these decks are mid-range / control decks that have a lot of space to kind of take things in and take things out. And kind of mess with their curve and what they're doing, whereas an aggro deck really can't. So obviously, again, there was no harm in just putting any random 6 cards, but Let's go over some of the other lists. So there were two Nissa lists, not Long Tim themselves playing Nissa with Sacred Sanctum and playing the Strahd combo. Nothing too crazy in their main deck here. Right, yeah, pretty standard stuff. Yeah, nothing crazy there. Running the two copies of Tandem Lookout in the sideboard for the Fairy Mirror, and then Pixie Trickster as well. I like that. That's actually a pretty good thing to have when you want it. And then additional interaction in Lava Wave and Mistraven. I like this. I like the sideboard quite a bit. The Treetop Lookout makes a lot of sense. So you just game one, you try and do what you can against a fairy. Again, you can still get around all the counters and everything, or just beat them down game one, and then game two you can game two and three you can really play more around the combo with Treetop Lookout. This version of Nissa is not the Strahd combo from Bengali. Still playing Sacred Sanctum, so obviously I think that's kind of like this just the de facto list that most are running, right? But they're choosing to use Epitome of Might and Grim Echoes as kind of like the top end, so just kind of playing a lot of the same creatures, right? Still playing Scion of Ashaya, Rampant Growth, Colonial Tusker, all these standard cards, Daybreak Ranger, Primeval Titan, right? I think those were in all of the lists. Right. Right. Yeah. Right. So like those are common cards, and actually, as you see here, also Treetop and Pixie Trickster in the sideboard as well. So still trying to solve the same problems that the main deck has, right? But then instead choosing to also opt for Shell Game, Worm's Wake, Woodland Hermitage, interesting, and Pyroclasm. So maybe instead, if they don't need the life gain as much, they opt for the Hermitage to get some more card advantage, and then just some more high value cards, and Pyroclasm as well for the go wide decks. I like both of these lists. It seems like they both performed really well. I don't know exactly what place Bengali ended up in. I know Long Tim came in third because I know they lost to the person who came in first place in Bossa Blades. Spoilers. I think most people who are watching this probably could have known that by now. And then you got one Ingress list here. It's pretty standard. I don't think there's anything special. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying I'm not going to make any special comments on this list. As for the sideboard here, Azure Pyromancer seems like a fine card. Drain Blood for just cheaper removal seems fine. And then speaking of removal, Flagrant Foul if you want to take care of like something large. I kind of like a lot of these options. And then Burn Through seems like a cool thing to try out. I don't know how effective this was, but it seems like something that might be good enough to just be like, cool, this thing can't block, or kill this like small creature, who knows? We got Fragster here with the Old Graveyard. Interesting. I don't know. Kind of what lands. I feel like people are using. I was gonna say people are usually using the Hermitage, but Fragster using the Old Graveyard here. Sure. I mean, both of them draw you a card. It's just that I think most of the time the Hermitage is going to be better. Let's see. Nothing else is really interesting, too crazy about this person's list either. Glade Cover Scout is pretty standard. Krov, yeah. The Mongrel is the only kind of card that's not like core. I'm choosing to run two copies of Eject. That doesn't seem great. But then in the sideboard here, the Silent Strikes and Death Shadow seem like a fine kind of transformational thing. Yeah, I'm not sure what I would run here instead. You could run the land. What are the Westvale Abbey, right? I don't know. But I don't think Eject is a card that I'm really going to be happy about bringing in often, specifically because it doesn't trigger the ability of Garruk, right? I would rather just run, the 6 mana Miracle Kill spell, right, over Eject. I don't know, something like that. And then here we've got Knight. Knight here also playing Garruk, pretty standard list. One Uvenwald tracker. Choosing to go with the Silent Strikes. The Silent Strikes can be good, they can be bad. You know, it's just how it is. I like seeing the Elite Forest Guard. It's a good sideboard card, and then the Trickster Snares are also good. And then just kind of a middle of the road value creatures here. Should you decide to cut the Silent Strikes? Should you want to remove some removal? Remove it, cut removal from your deck, right? If you don't need it, so you can just stick some effective creatures there, right? So if you're playing against the fairy, right, you just say, okay, cool, I don't need these. Or if you're playing against, you know, something like Jace, I don't know, whatever matchup where you're like, I don't want these removal spells, or I don't want these creatures, you know. I haven't seen. I was like, other lists running Boneyard Shambler. I don't think they were. Oh no, they were. Okay, okay, okay. Never mind, never mind. I was like, they. I saw one Boneyard Shambler. I think that card's pretty good. Um, but maybe that's just me. Yeah, here, Kraken, aka Tino. I guess it was just their username is different. So yeah, this is Tino. If you know who that is. They came in second place, and they're choosing to not run a single copy of our Boneyard Shambler here. Interesting. The tech here is the Cruel Flaglant, which is I think it's 5 mana, 4 mana, 4 mana, right? It's 4 or 5 mana for a 5/6 Trample Relentless that debuts to deal 5 damage to itself. Yeah, and then in the sideboard here, I know I definitely remember hearing the reasoning for these cards. They talk a little bit about this in the recording that I got. The Trickster Snares not for the matchup for the finals, which was Sarah, but here the probably just for the Teferis and everything, but then the Tarask Overrun and then the Grimoires are really good in the kind of the super grindy matchups. Tarask is such a hard threat to deal with when you are running low on removal. Overrun, if you have a bunch of large creatures, can just close out games, and the Grimoire in the Sarah matchup is good for the effects like the stun and for the remainder of the game, Sarah's Judgment, and things like that. So did I look at Boss of Blades lists here? I thought I. Oh yeah. Blade of Steel, aka Boss of Blades. I guess I missed their list. Or I skipped over it because they ended up winning the tournament, and you know, I joked that said Attack Yak won the tournament. Obviously, as you can see here, there is no Attack Yaks in the main deck, but they were actually in the sideboard, and we'll get to that when we talk about the actual match. So yeah, playing the Strahd combo in Sarah, which is the Strahd plus Sanguine Bond, plus you know, they're actually choosing not to play any of the other effects that we've seen. You know, like the 2 mana heal 5 or whatever, right? They're playing just the healer, the Desperate Prayer, and the Trostani and the Second Sons, right? And then otherwise, you know, just having a couple of creatures on board. So like, obviously, you just have like a creature or two on board that can connect. The Sanguine Bond will not plus Strahd will not have to be literal lethal, but it will able to lower your opponent's life total enough, right? So. And as you can also see, that not a lot of decks here have a really way of increasing their life total after a Strahd comes down. So that's another thing. You also have Lavinia, right? So like you can play like Lavinia the turn before, and then Strahd and you know, everything. Yeah. Choosing to play only one Alarm Bell, I think that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, you don't want to ever be drawing more than one of that card. But everything else down the line is 2 copies, or the maximum number of copies that you can run, obviously, with the legendaries. Also, a lot of people choosing to run Icing Death right now. I'm kind of interested in trying that out. So I'm gonna be playing this next stream, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, the really interesting thing here is the transformational sideboard that Boss has here. So 2 copies of Attack Yak, the Land of Moorland Haunt, Champion's Grit, and then the second copy of Alarm Bell. So they put all of these cards in, and all of a sudden they have this plan of attack Yak, trigger Moreland Haunt, get another attack Yak, or whatever, anything else. And this was super, super crucial in the second game of the finals, which we will go over in just a second. But I think that's all I wanted to say, because I think that's all I wanted to say about here. I just want to make sure. Um, yeah, cool. Awesome. So I have recorded the actual matches. Again, thanks to Longton for kind of giving everyone the opportunity. There will be some commentary between us. There'll also be some noise in the background, but so there's already commentary from me there. So I want to talk about my thoughts on the first match after the clip, and then we'll talk about then we'll talk about it briefly, and then we'll go to the second game. All right, let's get to it.
All right. Well, thanks, folks, for joining. I know we got a couple people just hanging out. They're also welcome to come off mute too. It doesn't have to just be me talking, but I figured I'd do a little bit of a cast here. And Bob, we can hear him talking, but he can't hear us.
Okay, yeah, I
So,
wasn't sure. I was also gonna do a little bit of like a recording for myself as well.
oh yeah, go for it,
Okay,
Rockstar.
cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool, cool, cool. Be
feel
chilling.
free. Yeah, pretty easy mulligan from Bob there, just to trim some of the stuff that's going to come down super, super late. And some nice early game cards for him to work with here. Okay. A little bit of information. So no 5-power creature in Tino's hand. And Bob just runs out the 2-drop immediately just to start being able to soak up some pressure.
Wow.
And
How
it could
did
still go 2-2-3. So
how does Pinpoint Avenger perform in this matchup?
um generally I thought it was good.
I'll go for that if he does.
There's Bob. Um I think unless Tino's specifically trying to play around it, it can be kind of annoying. Um, just because you are going to trade those stats early, and if Bob can set up some decent blocks here or there, he might be able to get a pretty nice pinpoint. But um, yeah, I don't think it's like overly strong, but I think it helps in some parts of the early game.
As long as I just take it, right?
Yeah, okay. So Bob's thinking about just not blocking here, which I think is probably correct, right? Because you just get nothing from blocking the bear. Yeah, pretty aggressive start. So you could run out the pinpoint and hope to trade it with the bear. But also there's heralds for 3. Or if you want to be slightly less efficient, you could go for the healer.
Yeah, there's just
But
no other
yeah,
way to deal with this Curse Bearer, right?
yeah. I think this is good. At least it does get the 1 damage on the bear, makes it so that the 2/1 can trade with it, even though Bob would take some damage. So far a decent way of kind of stopping Tino's early aggression. But if Tino has any way to interact with the Pinpoint Avenger here, that's going to be pretty obnoxious. Um, imagine maybe he's thinking about if he wants to. Okay,
Okay.
well, so he can. I
Yeah,
mean, attacking with everything here is pretty reasonable. Yep.
big damage.
Yeah. Definitely have to block there. It's just going to become bigger. Yeah. So Bob's got a decent turn 4 with Healer and Desperate Prayer. Immolating Glare is pretty nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. If Tina's got any removal,
Mm,
these turns get so much harder.
yeah.
Like probably if Tino draws at any point, the The 3-drop that lets you fight. Ooh. Okay. I mean, Shrine's not bad. Hopefully you can get a block off here.
Oh, I was about to say I don't see it happening, but okay.
Yep, definitely agree with that block too. I don't really want to have the second Sun's Dawn ripped out of your hand. Okay. Koth is pretty scary, but we do have the Immolating Glare. Oh.
Yeah, what mode do you go with here? Do you make it big
Oh,
or do you draw
Vanquisher.
cards? Yeah, you also destroy the demon. Yeah.
Wow. I think
I don't even know if I
I
would
don't
do
think
that
you
though.
want
I
to
would just play the Herald and the Immolating Glare, right?
Yeah, probably. I think you go for cards
That
here.
also
I don't think you want
makes
to get too greedy.
the Angel less, right?
Okay.
Right, because of its debut effect, if I'm remembering.
Yeah. Yeah, it would apply
It's
to
pretty
the next
hot.
Angel played.
It's pretty hot.
And to Sarah's Judgment. Okay. All right, so Bob's snapping that off, making the 4/4, and probably playing the Angel? Or do you want to Immolating Glare the 4/1?
Yeah, it's rough because you want to play the second Sun's Dawn, right? At some point,
Yeah,
and that's the only spell in your hand.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty reasonable. All right. So, yeah, makes sense. Tino took the 2 cards off of Koth, able to refill a bit. See how he can make some progress here. I mean, if he's got Death Shadows, they're just going to sit in his hand for a while. Okay, Krav.
Ooh.
It's a good use of it.
That's pretty big.
Bob with that's pretty big, yeah. And
That's
gets the
also
bonus.
targetable by the Angel, though, right?
Werewolf, zombie, and vampire.
Oh, werewolf, zombie.
Oh, never mind. Okay, we were wrong. Okay.
That is rough. But you've got Icing Death next turn, unless you get screwed by your land. So you can definitely make a block this turn, but it's looking at minimum 13 damage, right? Pre-combat. Axe plus the 12 on the board.
Oh god, and even if you play, I'm thinking of like Cursed Veil Predator here. Ugh. Like you're just screwed.
Yeah, I think the angel makes sense.
This makes it better. Yeah, I guess.
You just try and soak up, but yeah, it's gonna be hard. I mean, if Tino has a way to interact here, it's definitely a lot of damage coming down, but maybe can stabilize with Icing Death.
Okay.
Okay,
I was about to say, does he play around the Icing Death? Yeah.
it's 14, so taking 10, going to 2. Yep, and I think Tino knows what that is, so don't imagine he's going to play anything that gets Icing Death tier. Well, the thing is, when I played this matchup, I also read stuff like that potentially as like a Day of Judgment, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Does Tino have Wormswake in his list? I don't think so, right? So, yeah, okay. All right, I mean,
This has the potential to
it's
stabilize. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Icing Death is a pretty obnoxious card to deal with. Okay, Tino's potentially able to go wide here.
Oh, okay. Good gain back some life here.
Yep. I guess you're definitely minimum probably playing Watch Wolf
Is there?
as a blocker.
Oh, I was about to think of. Oh, I was
Oh,
about to say like a Sanguine Bond into like Desperate Prayer might have done something. Ugh. That would have
wow.
been lethal.
Yeah,
Oh, not lethal. Sorry, not lethal. It would have been
it
one
would have been
off. Would have been one
close.
off,
Yeah,
and then you'd have the second Sun's done.
that's huge. I mean, now you can think about Second Son potentially, but it's probably safer just to go maybe Watch Wolf and Herald.
Yeah, I
Save the
think you just play
pinpoint.
defensively here because next turn you can Sanguine Bond Second Sun with the Icing Death, and that's lethal.
Yep, that should because that's 13, right?
So if he's able to survive and he doesn't kill the dragon, Yeah.
Wow, the Desperate Prayer on Strahd. that's that's pretty wild. Okay.
Oh no. Oh, what a
Oh,
good play.
okay.
3. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. So he's
He's
forced to block
literally
here.
13.
Wait, is it?
And he's
Yeah.
Oh no, he
13.
doesn't. Yeah. Wow. Oh my God.
Not dead. I guess you're
Does he see
blocking.
the line though?
Oh, yeah. I think he does.
Cool. Got him.
Yep.
Oh my
Sees.
goodness. Got him, he says.
Wow.
Deal 7, attack for 6. Oh my goodness. Wow.
All right. So obviously a very, very close match. Also, I wanted to note, sorry, before I realized I forgot to mention one thing. It may sound like Boss of Blades, Blade of Steel, whatever can hear us. They cannot. The setup was such that like we could hear them, and like they were saying things, but like could not hear us in any way. And also, we were all in the same Discord call, right? But they were deafened and such. During the actual matches, during sideboarding, everyone was kind of chilling, having a chat again. It was a kind of a maybe a little bit more casual of the finals than most people might expect it to be. But again, everything was to code. Nothing was out of the ordinary. Everything was kept to standard in terms of competitive fairness. I just want that to be clear. But yeah, this was like the big moment of the game, right? Where it was at 4 life, or sorry, boss is at 4 life, and Tino has this slew of creatures. The Icing Death doing a really good job of stabilizing the board. So obviously, again, Icing Death doing work there. What was it? Also the turn before um, with the Krav, right? I originally was like, "Ooh, the Icing Death is not going to answer that," but by blocking and making it so that its health is larger, it was really cool. Now, a lot of people will say that like by playing the Desperate Prayer and hitting the Strahd, oh, that was just luck, right? Boss just won this game because of like, and don't get me wrong, it definitely helped. But I do want to call out that like, look at the cards in Boss's hand here, like they are by no means out of this game if they don't hit exactly Strahd. Even like if Desperate Prayer gained a couple, like 4 or 5 life, and they played a couple of other creatures, right? It just made it way easier. Obviously, right? So like it just made it so that they just played a couple of creatures and then won the game next turn. Even if that didn't happen, right? Boss could have blocked with Icing Death and saved more life and things like that. So like that, Oh, by the way, this detonator also would have dealt 4 damage. So like, if they attacked and then they blocked, so like a lot of people were running it off as like they just got lucky. I don't. I disagree with that assessment, and I might be a little biased here because again, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of rooting for Sarah here. I don't want just the Garrick deck to win every single tournament. Um, but there was more to this game than just they top decked. They top decked into Strahd off of that. Um, and then the other like really because again it was super super close game. Right with the Curse Veil Predator getting rid of all of the blockers, but then I was thinking, oh man, they're gonna have to block with Icing Death, but they're literally 1 damage off. So I don't know. I think maybe if they played the second Sun's Dawn instead, maybe that would have been more effective, right? Because then the Cursed Veil Predator, or I guess then they fight. No, then the fighting would have killed one of the things. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think as long as they survived, right? They and also if this detonator died, right? So like again, think about this game if in the case of like they the smaller creatures aren't here and they have to get rid of this and they fight with something. I don't know. I feel like this dying and then just Sanguine Bond into Second Sun's Dawn is another angle to winning the game there. But let me know what you think in the comments. Did Boss of Steel get lucky? Or sorry, Boss of Blades get lucky? Was it skill? I don't know. You let me know. But anyways, that's kind of all I wanted to say. Extra, I wanted to say. I think I gave, Long Tim and I gave good enough commentary during the game. Let's now go to the second game.
Yeah, so as I think I was saying, I think the Grimoires give him a bit of ability to get out of some of Sarah's
Oh, I'm sorry.
removal.
I'm going to go inside. Oh,
Tarrasque can too. Also, the tracker snares get a lot of value.
Oh,
So
there's a
we'll see.
Tarrasque in the sideboard? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, that was something Tino and Bob had talked about in this specific matchup. Ooh,
Mhm.
Lavinia is a nice one to have in your opener. The one thing I'm interested to see is I don't know if having the transformational sideboard for Bob into Moreland Haunt and the sort of yak, like a long game strat, is going to be good enough against a more aggressive deck. It was really good against me playing Nissa and specifically playing an OTK build, but I'm not sure if it's that good here.
I think it just gives a more concrete win condition after stabilizing, right? Where it's like if you can delay enough and you just start getting big yaks. I don't think Garrick has a lot of things that they can really do to do after that, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Fired off the alarm bell here.
I'm just happy that we have like a Tack Yak being played in a Spellslingers tournament here. That makes me very happy.
that is
100%.
pretty awesome.
That's Bob's been trying to make this card meta, like I think since he's played this game. So, oh, and there's the Champions Grid too. I mean, maybe
Yeah, so even
this will be
here, like it trades off with the Curse Bearer potentially, and then you just get a 6/6 in your hand, a 2-mana 6/6 in your hand.
Yeah. I guess my sort of concern was that like you might just want to have the life and just be able to Day of Judgment and all that stuff rather than potentially get screwed by Moreland Haunt on turn 5 or 6. But
Yeah.
it worked really well against my match. We'll see if Tino's able to kind of push past it.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if he's got enough interaction, he's going to get some big hits in here. I mean, this is 10, right? But if he doesn't get screwed by Moreland Haunt, he can Lavinia,
Even we'll see you.
buy some time.
Say goodbye to Sarah.
Okay.
Say goodbye to Masada.
Yeah. I think you probably have to play Lavinia, right? It's a 2-for-1. Or
Yeah,
I
I'm like
guess you
trying to
could
like
go
see if the like Yak
you could
plus
go
immolating
Yak.
glare. Yeah, but even that, yeah, I think Lavinia is the safe play.
Lavinia is going to buy him 2 turns.
Yeah. Because worst case scenario, removal on Lavinia. You smack for 5. You're definitely not dead.
Yeah, but then you would, yeah, I mean it's living here, but then you would have taken more damage,
Yeah.
and then you have two potential lethal threats or something like that.
I think you're pretty happy to block here. You've got potentially 6 mana next turn.
Oh,
That's not good.
another interesting sideboard card.
That's in his main.
That's main
the
deck?
Flagellants.
That's main
He's
deck?
main board. He's main
Yeah,
board.
those are main.
That is crazy.
Okay, well, there's a Yak for 1 and a Sarah's Judgment. Yeah, get your 4 in.
The fact that thing comes back as a 5/6 is just ridiculous.
So you could go Yak for 1. Okay, so he's going to go the 2 mana Yak, Immolating Glare. It's a 7/7 Yak. Not bad. Yeah, the Flagellants, I think, is a really interesting adaptation to the deck. And honestly, it would
It's
not
a
have
great
thought about it.
addition. It is a great addition.
I'd love to see it.
The fact, like, there's so much that you can do with that too,
Yeah.
because you can just axe that thing to kill it, so you
Mhm.
can get like a free wild speakers.
Yep.
Like, There's just a lot of interaction with that card.
Free death trigger for your bear, even.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's just a big power body that you get twice, which
And
does seem like
tramples.
a really nice piece of advantage. Yeah. Okay, so playing around the immolating glare, definitely wise. Man, if this hits flagellant, that's pretty tough for. Okay. Think you prefer it to be like that? Yep. Okay, so Bob effectively taking no damage here, right? Because he's going to heal 1. So that's pretty nice 2 turns of stabilizing.
Yeah, he's sitting in a pretty good spot right now, actually.
Yeah, as long as he's got enough interaction to get to 7, then it's also going to be a lot harder. But this is a game where if Tino's got the Death Shadows, it's going to be
Well, you
even
know,
tougher.
he's holding 1. He's got to have 1 the way that he's playing.
Yeah, I would think so. Okay. Another yak. So we could go yak, Sarah's Judgment.
You don't even have to Day of Judgment now. It's weird.
So probably taking 7 if you've got the shadows in your hand.
And these 2 yaks are lethal.
They have flying, yeah. I mean, so
Yeah,
this is
flying.
But there you have to block stuff.
That's
yeah, so
okay. I mean, he's got him at
bear.
4. And then he's got more. He's got that stun for the Death Shadow that's about to come out.
Yeah. I mean, also if he just survives, wins
Yeah,
the game.
he's got flyers unless he's
Yeah.
got. Well, cough doesn't do it because it kills him. So this is a pretty tough spot. I mean, it's got to be grudge match. Wild Speaker's Fury.
Yeah, I think that's the only way that he'll live.
Fucking yaks.
This is great, man. The double Moreland Haunt turn. Jeez.
That's what I'm saying, is right. It's like this is a lot better than just trying to like gain life and like
Yeah.
eventually right. This just seems like a much better plan.
I think you're totally right, Roxor. This seems a lot more effective at closing out the game and also stabilizing.
That was always the thing, right? With yaks, right? It wasn't that they weren't good ever. It's that they're very situational. So like,
So,
I really
yeah,
like the
yeah.
idea of using them in the sideboard.
We have a
Is
new
that it?
champion.
Yeah, that like unless there's a card that saves them here, like which I don't think there is. Yeah.
We have a new champion.
Jeez.
Wow.
Bro.
What the heck, Bob?
Yeah.
Okay, that was
No
kind of
way.
high.
No way you get the reacts like that. Jeez. Tina, that was rough, man.
All right, so there you have it. Boss Blades taking down the match off of the back of Attack Yak. As I said, I was very, very happy to see this. I think, and again, I kind of gave my commentary on why I think this is a good strategy. Because obviously we've seen the memes of Attack Yak being, really, really win more. And then again, it's because the situations where it's good are very, very specific. And again, this is one of those scenarios, right? Because as you saw in game 1, even though Boss of Blades was doing a really good job of deploying removal spells, playing creatures, and hoping to block. Right, Garruk has just so many ways of dealing with the defensive creatures, and so Boss of Blades kind of needed a way to go bigger, right, or to kind of match what Garruk is doing here. And so even you see here when they remove the yak, it still forces their hand and gives them a 2-mana 6/6 in their hand, So I think this was like a really, really good example of a transformational sideboard, but also sorry, I should also explain for those people who might not understand this term. I feel like most people understand this term, but if you don't, transformational sideboarding is when your deck has one game plan in game one, and then your sideboard is filled with cards that allow you to facilitate a completely different game plan, right? So a lot of control decks will be a control deck game one, and then in games 2 and 3, when they expect their opponents to board out removal, they will put in creatures, right? That are an effective way to win the game and improve their deck's ability to do something else, right? To do something completely different, which is actually kind of why I'm hoping at some point that we can have private lists. I don't think this I think this was an open deck list tournament, and I hope at some point, like I know they're gonna keep the sideboards and everything, right? But I hope that we can also have kind of more private lists at some point, right? And just kind of have that submission process be more solidified, right? Because I think getting to conceal the fact that you're going to do this is really interesting. This was telegraphed, right? Like Boss of Blades and Tino know all of the 36 cards or whatever in their lists, right? Both main deck and sideboard. So there's no hiding anything here, right? So there's no surprises. But I do think that it would be cool if we could get something like that at some point. But anyways, yeah, and also just getting towards the end of this game, right, deploying these yaks. Obviously, like again, so like some people might be confused why Tino doesn't make this block here. They just can't know that exactly what's in Boss of Blades' hand here, so it makes sense, but it's unfortunate. It's like the correct play, but it's unfortunate. It's also a very low value play because this has been fatal infection, right? So it's gonna die anyways, and so they don't really want to block and trade it off. Especially not with this Curse Bearer or this Krav, right? So it makes sense, but it does kind of seal the deal where for 5 mana, the amount of for 6 mana. For 6 mana, the amount of removal that they would have to have, or the quality of cards that they'd have to have, is so specific and so high, that, as I said towards the end of this match here, like there was nothing that I saw in their list that could have done anything from this point in the game. So yeah, as I said, Attack Hex doing the job, getting the job done. Barely, you can make the argument that they barely won the first game, but this second game was, in my opinion, not close. Again, as you saw, even in the rest of their hand there, they got that power word stun, the Leonin healer. So even if they didn't win the game this turn, I think they were going to do a really good job from that point on. All right, and that is going to do it for kind of my take and my commentary on this tournament. Big props to the official LGS for continuing to run these events. Really great to see that, while there might not be any crazy changes in the game, there's still a lot to go on in terms of, small adjustments, and also sideboarding adds a huge dynamic. Again, there might still be more things to do in terms of official or structured events. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, I'll provide a link. But yeah, props to or congrats to Boss of Blades for winning the tournament, Tino for runner-up. I know Longton was telling me that they came in third, losing to Boss of Blades. It's okay, you'll get them next time. I promise. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, remember, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Again, all that stuff really helps me out with the algorithm and everything. And yeah, see you guys for the next video.